Hello! I love Animal Crossing, and I have really loved Animal Crossing New Horizons. I properly got into the series with New Leaf when it first launched, and with New Horizons launching at the particular time in March 2020 that it did, I got to relive the joy of starting up a new island, swapping native fruits with your friends, and getting to know the new animals in my town. I was pretty much hooked. I even had my actual birthday party in the game during lockdown. However, a year and a half in from launch, I haven't really played much since probably about 4 months in, despite really wanting an excuse to go back. In fairness, 4 months of pretty much solid gameplay is still pretty good. But with the game becoming such a big seller for the Switch, I had a little bit of hope for the 1 year anniversary that they might do some kind of big, exciting update. But, we got a cake, I guess. But I'm making this video because, as always, I have a lot of ideas, which I think could give the game a whole new life and bring back many of the players like me who would love an excuse to get back into the game. And when I say a lot of ideas, I mean a lot. So I'm going to split these out into what I'll call the Island Update and the Villager Update, and give each their own full video. I'll start with my Island Update first. I'm also putting these in order of ambition, so stick through to the end for the really exciting stuff. So as much as I love New Horizons, there are some aspects where I think Nintendo has kind of missed why people actually want to play this game. One of the really key points for me is the dollhouse element. I'm constantly blown away by the incredible ways in which people set up their island. And while the ability to actually terraform the island is obviously huge, I think there's a lot more they can do to enable people's creativity. While things like trading for furniture is fun in theory, it ultimately leads to you trying to organise cataloguing trips with strangers online, assuming you even have an online membership, or hassling your friends to check their shops. I think everyone should have the ability to make the island of their dreams all by themselves, if they want to. It can be really frustrating to try and track down that one piece of furniture in a colour that will never spawn on your island. So, I would make almost all of the furniture craftable, and any item that has recolours would be able to be recoloured with the painting kits. I want to be able to further upgrade the Nook shop, like in New Leaf, but a little bit less gaudy. More items on sale with a strong RNG weighting towards showing you items you don't already have. Wallpaper and flooring better on display to help my poor eyes, which sometimes struggle to see the pattern from the small thumbnails. And items which you don't already own display their name in a different colour, so you can tell at a glance what you need for your catalogue. I hear you out there, but Laura, if all the furniture is craftable, we'll have even more useless recipe cards, and it'll be even harder to find the ones that we want. Firstly, same treatment as the shop. Recipes are strongly weighted towards the ones you don't already have. And secondly, I have a big idea for recipe cards. I'll get to that in a little bit. These ideas also apply to the clothes shop. Easy to spot the items you have and a focus on the ones that you don't. Now, a big one. Creative mode. As much as I would love to make one of these incredible, intricate islands, I find it's almost impossible to plan. Anyone who's overhauled an island knows that it's a huge undertaking that can take days or weeks or even months to build. And that's made even more difficult by the fact that all your animals still have to live on the island. And then, 20 hours in, you realise your new museum really should have been 3 tiles to the left to fit in that water feature you wanted to make. Creative mode would be similar to Dream Islands, but instead of visiting someone else, you visit an imaginary version of your island. Buildings can be toggled on and off, but the core geography of your island remains fixed. You have access to all the items in the game. Yes, even event items. And you can much more quickly terraform by placing blocks using a grid system. Items which you've placed but don't have can be highlighted and even placed on a shopping list so you can hunt them down later. You really are free to make the island of your dreams. Maybe you can even save multiple projects so you can compare whether you prefer a ninja-themed island or a carnival. But what's the point in having a dream island? I want it on my real island. Fear not. Once you've quickly and easily planned out your project in creative mode, when you enter terraforming mode on your real island, you have the option to daydream and view your plans as an overlay which you can use as an easy template to work to. Arguably, we could allow the simplicity of placing blocks on the main island, but I think Nintendo and probably some players enjoy the realism of physically building the land. And I think the manual labour would at least be a lot more satisfying if you're not having to deal with trial and error at the same time. Now, outside of making your island into a winter palace, have you ever found yourself wanting more to do? Invited your friends to your island, but you're not sure what to do with them after giving them the tour and taking some photos? Have you got hundreds of those dang recipe cards that you just can't bear to get rid of? And you've got thousands of Nook Miles, which, outside of trading for bell tickets to get Raymond on the black market, you don't really have much use for. Well, I have the answer. The Nook Flotilla. You spend a small amount of Nook Miles to make a trip to the fabulous Nook Flotilla. Similar to the High Street on New Leaf, the Flotilla is a bustling community of shops and characters, each with their own lovely boat. The only currency used on the Flotilla is Nook Miles, which you can both spend and earn aplenty while you're there. Some features are fixed, but most of the boats visit on a rotation, similar to characters visiting your island randomly. And you might even see boats from your friends or players you don't know from the internet, if you so choose, of course. Does anyone else remember Street Pass? Think Internet Street Pass with boats. Friends visiting your island can also come to your flotilla, which will have a different setup to theirs, changing every day. And many of the activities will also have multiplayer functionality. Remember when I mentioned earlier that I had a plan for all those unused recipe cards you've been hoarding? One of the key fixtures here is the bottle exchange, run loosely by Pascal. He wants to make sure each recipe finds a loving home, and asks you to bottle up any spare recipe cards you have so he can put them back out to sea. You'll gain a small number of Nook Miles per donation, maybe more miles for rarer recipes, as well as some more achievements to work towards for total number of recipes donated. I think it would be nice to be able to send a message with them to get that true message in a bottle feeling, but maybe you would have to mix and match from some set phrases. We know how Nintendo feels about these things. And of course, Pascal is happy to write the messages for you if you just want to offload 1,000 cards all at once. These bottles specifically only turn up on the islands of other people who don't already have that recipe, with the priority being to visit your friends' islands first. If they're not claimed after a day, they go back into that same kind of limbo as villagers who move out of your town, so there's no worry about shortages. Oh, but you want to spend Nook Miles, not gain them? Then you can pay Pascal to go and find you a new recipe. I think I would balance this with recipes becoming increasingly expensive the fewer you have left to collect. But don't forget, we've also rebalanced bottles, so you're more likely to find new ones already. So I'm happy to make these pretty expensive. I don't want new players picking up the game to feel like they're meant to grind these out, but if someone really wants to grind for a specific recipe, then more power to them. Maybe you can even request a specific recipe card from Pascal for a whole bunch of Nook Miles. One of the other important elements of the flotilla is that it would also allow you to access items and events from the past that you've missed. At a cost, of course. I personally love that events happen organically throughout the year, but I think it's a pretty big ask to expect people to stick with a game for a full year just to collect all the fish. I adore the Sakura furniture, but the joys of RNG meant I wasn't able to get all the recipes during the event. Time travelling is of course easier than ever, but I think it would be nice to allow a more legitimate way of getting missed items without having to time travel if you don't want to. This also includes items which you can't reorder from your Nook phone app. I just really don't think there's much fun in feeling like you have to hoard certain items just in case you might want them in the future, because if you sell them, they're gone forever. Or some items which you can only get once in a specific colour, and if you want the other colours, you have to steal them from your friends because they can never get a replacement of that item. I just want all these sweet dogs. But how are we going to be able to play through old events? Well, does anyone else remember Tortimer's Island? He's back, and this time his little boat takes you to a series of special islands where you can play minigames with friends to earn Nook Miles and trade them in for prizes. Think of the Bug Off and Fishing Tourney, but playing in competition against your friends. Or, if you're playing on your own, against villagers. Maybe you have different tiers of competition, easy, medium, hard, that have different pass scores, and passing allows you to trade Nook Miles for different rarities of event items, or just earn more Nook Miles if you want. These competitions will also have monthly themes, so September, July, etc. So you will get a different set of fish every time you play. This adds a bit of variety, and it helps teach players when certain fish appear. I don't think you should have to look up a guide online if you don't want to. You won't get to keep the fish, but I'll get on to collecting out of season fish in a moment. And of course, seasonal events for things like Toy Day, Bunny Day, etc. Maybe you have to pay more Nook Miles to enter these special challenges. Outside of tourneys, there will be plenty of other minigames to play too, maybe with their own special prizes as well. Primarily, this is going to be your main way of racking up big numbers of Nook Miles to spend on the flotilla. And frankly, just giving us a sorely needed feature, being able to play games with your friends. As a side point, I hear you. You're thinking the last thing you want to do is go and talk to the dang dodo, fly to the flotilla, then talk to Tortimer to go to his event islands just to play a game with your friend. I would also have a little overhaul of the airport. You can contact Orville to open and close the gates on your Nook phone. and there's an available flights board in the airport showing all of your friends' open islands, which can be easily selected alongside Harvey's Island, Mystery Tour Islands, the Flotilla, and to Tortimer's Island directly. And, talking about Orville, remember I mentioned getting out of season fish? As well as buying your normal Mystery Tour tickets, which you can now get directly at the airport, you can also buy seasonal and month-specific tour tickets. We get an expanded pool of Mystery Tour Island templates, and you can use these to collect bugs and fish that are out of season. Finally! So, back to the Flotilla. Things like the bottle exchange and Tortimer's Island would be fixed features, but most of the boats would change every day, run by returning beloved characters, or maybe even new characters. Think of things like Brewster's Cafe. You play a mini-game helping serve customers in the cafe. The customers are a mix of yours and your friends' villagers, and some random animals as well. You have to memorise a couple of orders at a time, with different characters visiting every time you play. As long as you perform well, Brewster will give you the option to purchase special cafe-themed items, earn Nook Miles, or he can invite someone you've served to come and live on your island. This would be the most expensive option, but gives you another, much quicker way of trying to get your dream villagers without resorting to the black market or spending weeks grinding mystery tours. Katrina's fortune telling. As well as the general fortune telling feature, Katrina will also be able to use her crystal ball to tell you where villagers who used to live in your town are now, assuming any have moved away. I always think it's a cute feature that animals have an ongoing life outside the time in your town, and I wish I had a way to see what they're up to. If that animal is living in a village uploaded as a dream town, you could pay Nook Miles to go and visit. Or, if they're waiting in the void, which I guess they'd phrase as, oh, I'm enjoying some time out in the wilderness, or in boxes, you can pay Nook Miles to psychically implant the thought of moving back to your town. Katrina can also tell you about villagers from your friends' towns who are thinking of moving. And again, you can compel anyone who's in boxes right now. Maybe for a whole bunch of Nook Miles, you can pay for Katrina's premium service, where she puts her app on your Nook phone and will buzz you each day with a list of your friends' villagers who are on the move. Happy Home Designer Challenge. A minigame similar to the Happy Home Designer 3DS game, and the minigame from the Animal Crossing mobile app. You'll set little challenges to design the best room fitting a particular theme. As always, you can spend Nook Miles to buy furniture used in the challenge, or earn miles for doing well. Red's Treasure Trove. Exactly what you expect. Red's boat rocks up and you have more opportunities to buy artworks, spending Nook Miles. I would love nothing more than to fill up my museum, but checking for Red every day, on top of the fact he might not even have any real art at all, makes it pretty much impossible for me. Props to anyone who has collected them all. This would probably also come in the form of a mini-game, maybe a quiz or some kind of spot the difference, and allow you to buy any of the artworks you see, real or fake, whatever you want. Specialist shops. As nice as it is to have Kix, Label, Leaf and others visit my town occasionally selling specialist items, it would be nice to give them a place of their own. They're still travelling salespeople, each with their own little ship with a slightly expanded set of wares, nicely displayed. This is maybe an opportunity also to introduce new, more exciting clothing options. I'm looking at you, Animal Crossing mobile app. And yes, everything's bought with Nook Miles. Maybe we also have a weekly competition run by Mabel to design the best item of clothing based on a theme. Similar to the custom designs page, you can view other people's submissions, and they have some kind of voting system. You can get Nook Miles just for entering, and get more miles for a popular design. Maybe top voted designs get entered into a Hall of Fame for anyone to download. This competition could even be used to highlight popular floor or wall patterns to decorate your town with. People make such amazing stuff, let's promote that a little bit more in the game. Copper and Booker's mobile police station. Has anyone else played Nintendo Land on the Wii U? Did you ever play Sweet Day? I didn't actually know that that was what it was called. I thought it was just called Preserve the Reserves because that's what me and my friends shouted at each other when we played. Bring that back. It's the best. And of course, just decorating your own boat. There's plenty of decoration and themes you can use for the outside of your boat, and then you can decorate the inside however you like. Your little boat can turn up at your friend's flotilla, and maybe you can send and receive little gifts with boats too. Maybe you can have multiple boats. Heck, that's something for you to spend your Nook Miles on. Dang, while I was looking for some footage for this, I watched the Welcome Amiibo expansion trailer for New Leaf. I had put down the game by the time that came out, but yes, all of that. Honestly, watching it makes my ideas feel pretty viable actually. So, that is just some of my ideas. And they are pretty big changes to the game, but I have even more to talk about. Specifically, big ideas about villagers. So if you like this one, stay tuned. And if you're thinking, heck, this person has so many ideas, I would love to hear more of them, then check out my other videos on Splatoon and Pokemon. I'm a little channel right now, so liking, subscribing, sharing, commenting, etc. all tells the algorithm that it should, show my videos to people, so that would be much appreciated. Have a great day. See you soon. Bye!